The vision of Frontier Software is to supply organizations throughout the world with an integrated, secure, common human resource database. This can be accessed anywhere, anytime, by any device using the latest web technology.
Founded on commitment, built on quality, unrivaled in delivery. Frontier Software is a world leader in integrated human resource solutions. For over 3 decades, we've been expanding into new territories, investing in fresh talent, and developing the technology to deliver world-class HR and payroll management software to over 1,600 organizations across the globe, both large and small. Our leading-edge products are the result of our forward-thinking commitment to excellence and incorporate a comprehensive range of software modules. We annually invest over 20% of our profits into research and development, ensuring that new products are available year on year, so you get the best possible solution for the ever-changing needs of your company.
I'm Mel, and I am choosy. My ultimate skin goal is gusto kong mag-even out ang skin tone ko.
Hi, my name is Gian Elwada. My skin goals are to become whiter, fairer, healthier, and younger.
It really shows na yung skin ko ngayon mas moisturized, mas glowing, and mas healthy.
Thanks to Glutasy, I got my skin tone back. Thank you so much, Glutasy.
Every coffee needs a lotus.
What's the secret to beauty's beauty?
Langis.
Ito ba lahat ang gamit mo?
Ay, hindi. Isa lang ang gamit ko for all. Moringa O2 Therapy Oil. Hindi lang malunggay. Meron ding olive oil and omega from sunflower oil.
This therapy oil helps relieve my dry and irritated skin.
It helps lighten my scars and stretch marks.
It helps make my hair strong and healthy.
This is our beauty secret.
Sana all.
Sarah oil.
Nandito ako nung nagpa-practice mag-bike ng anak ko.
Nandito ako nung nag-birthday si Mommy.
mag-celebrate ng wedding anniversary namin.
Distance will always be a problem.
Takot ka bang mahawa ng novel coronavirus? Narito ang ilang tips para maiwasang magkasakit.
afternoon to all of our viewers. Good afternoon to our Zoom participants. And of course, good afternoon to our FB Live and YouTube viewers. Today is Monday morning, and it's another e-learning session brought to you by Ariva Academy. Our topic for this afternoon is contracts, force majeure, and the COVID-19 virus. This is Irish Malonda Samson, your host, And with me is Mr. Howell Mabalot. Good afternoon, sir, as our moderator.
Good afternoon, Miss Irish, Malonda Samson. You always look beautiful.
Thank you, and same with you, Sir Howell. Kamustang weekend?
Wow. Productive yung weekend. What about you?
Productive. Of course, yes. We did exclusive webinars, of course, powered also by Ariva Academy. It is indeed blessed weekend for Ariva. Yes, and of course, please join me in welcoming our participants from out of town, and they're watching right now from Baguio, Batangas, Butuan, Cabanatuan, Cagayan de Oro, Cebu, Davao, Dumaguete, La Union, Laguna, Legazpi, Pampanga, Quezon Province, Rizal Province, Tagum City, Tarlac, Tuguegarao, and all the way from Vigan, Ilocos Sur.
Wow.
And of course, I would like to greet one of our avid follower and viewer from YouTube, Mr. Alex Arelon from Jeddah, UAE. Happy birthday, sir. Happy birthday. Okay, moving on. Of course, before I move on to our house rules, I would like to check our participants if they are ready, Sir Howell. Please get your pens and paper and let me know if you are ready. Please give me an exclamation point right now. Please type in now in the chat box exclamation point if you are ready. Yan, okay. Thank you, Emelinda, Grace. Thank you, Josephine. Maria, Melanie, Miss Melanie Canlas is here watching with us.
Wow.
Hello, Mama, we missed you. Okay. Moving on, in order for us to have a smooth flow over e-learning session, here are the following house rules. Who are the first-time viewers of our webinar? Please type in hi in the chat box now. Let us know where you're watching right now. From what company were you watching? Okay. Joy Marie Severina. Okay. Hello, ma'am. Welcome to our e-learning session. Who else? Who are the first-time viewers? And for those avid viewers of Ariva Academy, this is your second time, third time, please type in hello in the chat box right now, okay? From Fast Cargo. Okay, Aris from Emerald Incorporated. Pasita, hello, ma'am. Rowena, hello. Judith, Geraldine, and Timer. Okay, thank you. Madel Season is watching with us right now as well. Okay, let's do an audio check. Please use the following codes. Type in 111 to show if you can hear me loud and clear. 111, Miss Emelinda, Judith, Grace, Joel, Christian, thank you. Karen, Vanessa, thank you. 111, Pervin, Cherry Ann, thank you so much. Okay, medyo lively ang ating participants today, Sir Howell. Okay, type in 222 to show if you cannot hear anything, no sound at all. 2121 means the sound is breaking up, and question mark if you don't understand anything. But so far, it's 111. We're all loud and clear and audible. Okay, moving on. We will be having a quick break later after the presentation of our guest speaker and before we move on to our Q&A portion. Participants' microphones will be temporarily disabled by the administrator during discussion to avoid interruptions. For questions and clarifications during the provided time after each topic, please click the raise hand button for the administrator to enable the microphone for live questions. We will entertain live questions from our Zoom participants at the Q&A portion. Questions will be entertained after each topic of the session. Type in your questions at the Q&A box. Again, at the Q&A box, one question at a time will be entertained. For comments and feedbacks, please scan this QR code. This will be directed to our feedback form. Please send us your comments, suggestions, and topics to discuss in order for us to improve our future e-learning sessions. And now to discuss contracts, force majeure, and the COVID-19 virus, Mr. Howell Mabalot, please introduce our guest speaker today.
Thank you so much, Miss Irish Malonda Samson, our dear president, for the opportunity and the privilege to introduce our speaker for today. He is a seasoned corporate and trial lawyer, a former bank lawyer with 13-year banking experience and an extensive 15-year trial experience, handling almost all kinds of cases from criminal, civil, labor, to family law. Handled cases from trial courts up to Supreme Court. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's all welcome Attorney Oliver Yuan. Hello po, Attorney. Everybody say po, Attorney.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon po, Attorney. How have you been, sir?
It's okay. I'm doing good. Thank you for that introduction, Sir Howell. Ma'am Irish, good afternoon.
Thank you for saying yes to our invitation, sir.
Anytime. Okay. So, can we start?
Yes, sir. We're excited to listen to you now.
Okay. Thank you. So, again, good afternoon to all the participants. So, our topic is contracts, force majeure, and the COVID-19 virus. At this early, I would like to inform the participants that I'll be using the term force majeure and fortuitous events interchangeably. So don't be confused because essentially these two terms are the same. Okay? So this is a webinar that will answer the question whether the COVID-19 virus pandemic may be considered a force majeure or a fortuitous event to absolve a contracting party from its contractual liability. I do understand na madami ang nagtatanong if COVID-19 can be considered a force majeure. And if it is, will that absolve us from any liability? Okay, so we will answer that main question in this afternoon's webinar. So we have three objectives for this webinar. First, to inform the participants of the legal definition of a contract, mutuality of contract, requisites of a contract, the elements, the forms of contract, and its interpretation. Second, to inform the participants of the meaning of force majeure or fortuitous event and its legal effect. Okay, and lastly, again, to answer that question, whether COVID-19 virus may be considered a force majeure that could absolve us in any liability. Okay. So this is what to expect from the webinar. Participants would learn the legal meaning of all the terms that I have mentioned earlier. Okay. So we will start by defining what is a contract. Okay. Okay. So a contract is a meeting of the minds between two persons whereby one binds himself with respect to the other to give something or to render some service. This definition is provided in Article 1305 of the Civil Code. Okay? So, this is quite inaccurate if you're going to see the meaning because it pertains to only to the meeting of the minds of two persons. We are aware that in a contract, there could be two or more persons. So to be accurate in its definition, a contract is a meeting of the minds between two or more persons, binding themselves with respect to each other to give something or to render some service. So that is the meaning of a contract. Okay? Now, what is mutuality of a contract? The contract must bind both contracting parties. Its validity or compliance cannot be left to the will of one of them. What does it mean? It simply means that if you enter into a contract, its validity and its fulfillment cannot be stipulated based on the will of only one party. So it has to be always mutual. Otherwise, there would be no meeting of the minds, as we have defined earlier. Okay? So we have a mutuality in a contract. By the way, there are three stages in making a contract. First is the conception, or generation. This is the first stage wherein the parties begin their initial negotiation. Okay? The second stage is we have the perfection or the birth. This pertains to the stage wherein there is already a meeting of the minds between the parties in a contract. And the last stage is the consummation or the fulfillment of the obligation under the terms and terms and conditions of the contract. Okay? Okay. Based on the definition, I'm sure there's a question. Is a verbal contract valid? Okay? Is a verbal contract valid, or should a contract be always written? Okay? So if we're going to go back to the legal definition, a verbal contract may be valid, but it will all depend on what kind of contract it is. Okay? So how do we know if it is valid or not? We should know the requisites or the elements of a contract. As stated in Article 1318 of the Civil Code, there are three elements: consent of the contracting parties, object certain, which is the subject matter of the contract, and the cause of the obligation. Okay? What does consent means? It refers to the meeting of the minds. Okay? In giving consent, it is important that the party giving consent must have legal capacity. Okay? That is why under the law, if you are a minor, you cannot enter into a contract because you don't have the legal capacity, and therefore you cannot give consent. Okay? In case of corporations, okay, when a corporation enters into a contract, the person representing the corporation must be authorized. He or she must have a secretary certificate or at least a board resolution authorizing that person to give consent in behalf of the corporation. Otherwise, that contract may be invalid. Okay? Object certain refers to the subject matter of the contract. Okay? And then cause of the obligation refers to the compelling reason why a party assumes an obligation to a contract. Okay? So these are the three essential elements of a contract. If these three elements are there, whether it is written or verbal, a contract is valid. Okay? Now, there's a fourth element. This refers only to real contracts, and this is delivery of the object, which refers to the transfer of possession in, let's say, in a contract of sale. Okay? It will not be valid if there will be no delivery of the object, because in a sales contract, you purchase something. So whatever you purchase, you should receive it. It should be delivered to you. So that's an important element to make that contract valid. Okay. And then the question earlier, is a verbal contract valid? I said yes. However, there are certain contracts which must be in writing. Why? Because the law provides that certain contracts, we call these formal contracts, it should be in writing in order to be valid. Okay, that's clear? Now, we go to the form of contracts. Article 1356 states that contracts shall be obligatory in whatever form they may have been entered into, provided all the essential requisites for their validity are present. So remember the requisites that I have just mentioned, the three. As long as they are there, in whatever form, contract is valid. Okay. However, When the law requires a contract be in some form, in order that it may be valid or enforceable, or that a contract be proved in a certain way, that requirement is absolute and indispensable. What does that mean? Katulad nung sinabi ko kanina, although verbal contracts as a general rule is valid, there are certain types of contracts wherein it has to be in a certain form. It has to be written. So we have to comply to that form in order for that contract to be valid and enforceable. Okay? This is a sort of a review if we have participants who are law students or lawyers, or those who have taken up obligations and contracts during their college years. So you have encountered these terms. For the other participants, this is an information to give you the legal definition of these terms so that we could understand what really are contracts. Okay? Now, as I've said, informal contracts, it has to be written. What are examples of these formal contracts? We have donation of real property. Okay? Donation means there are two kinds of donation. Donation can be given by the donor during his lifetime, and there is also a donation by the donor after life or after the death of the donor. This is yung tinatawag natin yung mga mana. So these are donations. So let's say nagmana kayo ng isang property, it must be in writing. Why? Because the law provides that it should be in writing under Article 749 of the Civil Code. So if it is not written, then it can be invalidated. So that's one example of a formal contract that should be written. Another is the donation of a personal property, the value of which is more than 5,000 pesos. Okay? So kung nagbigay ka lang ng ballpen na halagang 100 pesos, pwedeng verbal. Pero sabi ng batas, o luma na yung batas natin, more than 5,000 pesos, personal property, pag nagbigay ka, nag-donate ka, it should be written. Okay? That's under Article 748 of the Civil Code. Sale or transfer of large cattle, it should also be in written form. Interest shall not be due unless it has been expressly stipulated in writing. Ayan. Interest. So, kailangan din nakasulat. Chattel mortgage. O, ito, yung mga nagka-car loan. So, you're familiar with chattel mortgage. Chattel mortgage must be registered in the Chattel Mortgage Registry in accordance with law. So, again, it has to be written. Negotiable instruments must be made in the required form under the Negotiable Instruments Law. So those are example of formal contracts na kailangan siya in written form. Okay? Aside from that, it can be verbal. Okay. Meron din tayong tinatawag under the Statute of Frauds. These are contracts. In order naman to be enforceable, it has to be written. Okay? It has to be written. Okay. Let's move on. Article 1370, interpretation of contracts. Okay. If the terms of a contract are clear and leave no doubt upon the intention of the contracting parties, the literal meaning of its stipulation shall control. If the words appear to be contrary to the evident intention of the parties, the latter shall prevail over the former. What does it mean? When you interpret a contract, you only rely on its literal meaning. Kung ano yung nakasulat, yun na yun. As long as malinaw siya. It is not contrary to the intention of the parties. Otherwise, ang magpe-prevail kung ano talaga yung intention ng parties. Example, merong prinesenta sa inyong kontrata. Ang title, Contract of Lease. Okay? So, Contract of Lease, alam natin to. Yung mga nagre-renta, nag-uupa, Contract of Lease. When you read the contract, the body states that one party is purchasing the property stated in the contract. Okay? So there's a sale. Binebenta yung property dun sa kabilang party. And there's a purchase price. Question, what kind of contract is that? Is that a sales contract? O yung nakalagay sa title, Contract of Lease? What will govern? The answer is, it will be a sales contract. Bakit? Kasi yung body ng contract, yun yung intention ng parties na gusto nilang mangyari. So, they agreed on a sales transaction. It so happened lang na ang nailagay na title is Contract of Lease. So, what will govern, again, is the intention of the parties. It doesn't matter kung anong title pa yan. You always go to the body and look for the intention of the parties. Okay? So, now we know what a contract is. We know how to interpret it. We know the elements. So, as long as the requisites are there, it may be written, it may be oral. Okay? So, that is a contract. Okay. Now, we go to force majeure. Okay? Or sometimes we also call this fortuitous event. Okay. 1174 defines force majeure. It says, except in cases expressly specified by the law, or when it is otherwise declared by stipulation, or when the nature of the obligation requires the assumption of risk, no person shall be responsible for those events which could not be foreseen or which, though foreseen, were inevitable. Ayan. Ito yung dito interesado, I'm sure, most of the participants. Force majeure. So, malinaw, under 1174, if it cannot be foreseen, if it is a fortuitous event, then we may be free from it. Why? Because the obligation has been extinguished. You see, Article 1174 actually must be treated in related to Article 1262. 1262 says, on its first paragraph, an obligation which consists in the delivery of a determinate thing shall be extinguished if it should be lost or destroyed without the fault of the debtor and before he is incurred in delay. So, Article 1262 in relation to 1174 means that if you're the debtor, if you're the obligor in a contract, and something happened which is beyond your control, and you have not incurred in delay, your obligation extinguished or extinguishes. So you don't have any liability. Okay. So, tatanungin nyo, attorney, so yung COVID-19, paano na yon? COVID-19 is an example of a force majeure. Why? Because it is unforeseen. It suddenly happened. It shocked the whole world. Okay? It came from Wuhan, China. Nobody knows that it will spread around the world. Okay? So, it was inevitable. Nobody, as far as we know, it was not intentional. Okay? And we suffered the effects of this COVID-19. So, COVID-19, since it is a pandemic, or before we use the term epidemic, it is considered a fortuitous event. So, we can be absolved in our liability, using the ground that we failed to fulfill our obligation because of a force majeure, which is the COVID-19 virus. However, that is the general rule. Okay. Article 1262 also, paragraph 2 states, when by law or stipulation, the obligor is liable even for fortuitous events, for the loss of the thing is not extinguished, and you shall be responsible for damages. So, the law says when by law or stipulation. Some of you who have entered into contracts, I'm sure you have encountered a provision, a force majeure provision or a fortuitous event provision in a contract. If it is stipulated, if the parties agree that despite the happening of a fortuitous event, one party would still be liable, then that will not absolve you. So it would depend. So my suggestion, in entering into a contract, you must read carefully all the provisions of the contract, because some of us we only read the provisions that we are they call this we are interested. Let's say in a sales contract, we only read the provision pertaining to the price, to the object that we are buying, but sometimes we neglect some provision, just like the force majeure provision. If we do that, then we would not know whether we could be liable or not in the event of a fortuitous event. So again, it is important for us to read the entire contract and make sure that we understand each provision, especially the force majeure provision. Because hindi bigahon ang lahat ng kontrata. Itong sinasabi kong force majeure provision, iba-iba din yan. Depende yan sa agreement ng parties. Again, babalik tayo sa definition. There should be meeting of the minds, meaning both parties must agree. Okay? So, the parties may agree that in the event of a fortuitous event, nobody will be liable. Or, the parties may agree in the happening of a fortuitous event, somebody would still be liable. So, in any event, that provision would be legal. So, depending on the agreement of the parties, depending on the contracts that they have signed. Okay? Okay. There are classes of fortuitous events as to the origin or cause and as to foreseeability. First, as to origin or cause. Fortuitous event, this refers to an event which is absolutely independent of human intervention. Ito rin yung tinatawag na naririnig nyo minsan, an act of God. Okay? An act of God. Force majeure or fuerza mayor in Spanish, this refers to an event caused by the legitimate or illegitimate acts of persons other than the obligor. In brief, in force majeure, there is human intervention.
Hi, Attorney.
Yes.
We have some feedback about the sound.
Oh.
Can you?
How about that?
Can you not use the earphones anymore? Is it okay po? Kasi baka doon nanggagaling yung static. If you can just pull out the.
I'll pull out
the headset.
Sige, let's try.
Let's try to.
Okay.
Yan, mas malinaw, Attorney.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So, again, going back, fortuitous event and force majeure, as I have said earlier, these are interchangeable terms. Essentially, they are the same. Okay? They are the same. The other class of fortuitous event is as to foreseeability. There is what we call ordinary fortuitous event and an extraordinary fortuitous event. Okay, ordinary, these are events which ordinarily happen or which could be reasonably foreseen but are inevitable. Example, flooding of low-lying areas during typhoons and thunderstorm. O dito sa Metro Manila, pag biglang bumuhos yung ulan, there are certain areas na bigla na lang bumabaha. So it is considered as an ordinary fortuitous event. It can be foreseen pero inevitable kasi walang ginagawa ang ating gobyerno, unfortunately. Okay? Kaya even if alam na natin mangyayari yon, since walang ginagawa, it becomes inevitable. Okay? Extraordinary fortuitous event naman, those which do not usually happen and could not be reasonably foreseen. Okay? Earthquake, fire, war, COVID-19. This is considered as an extraordinary fortuitous event. Ito, wala na talaga tayong magagawa. Okay, we really do not expect this, but sometimes it happens. Okay, so those are the two classes of fortuitous events. So on the question again, is COVID-19 a fortuitous event or a force majeure? The answer is yes. Okay. Now, automatic ba na exempted tayo if there is force majeure or fortuitous event? Here are the requisites to exempt an obligor from liability by reason of fortuitous event. Okay, first, the cause of the breach must be independent of the debtor's will. Dapat wala kang kinalaman doon sa fortuitous event, hindi ikaw ang may kagagawa. The event must either be unforeseeable or unavoidable. Sabi nga natin minsan, no choice. Andyan na, nangyari. Third, the event must be such as to render it impossible for the debtor to fulfill his obligation in a normal manner. Okay, so gustuhin man niya na gawin yung obligation niya sa kontrata, pero he cannot simply do it. Okay? The debtor must be free from any participation, aggravation of the injury to the creditor. So, these are the requisites. Pag andyan yan, then a person can be exempt from liability by reason of fortuitous event. Exceptions which make an obligor liable. Okay? Katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, it would depend. So, first, when it is expressly stipulated that he shall be liable, even in the happening of a fortuitous event, under Article 1174 yan. So, kung nakalagay sa kontrata na liable ka pa rin in the happening of a force majeure or a fortuitous event, then sorry, you will still be liable. Hindi mo pwede sabihin, hindi ko naman kasalanan yan, hindi ko ginusto yan, hindi ako may kagagawa niyan, pero since it was expressly stipulated in your contract, then you should still be liable. Okay? When the nature of the obligation requires the assumption of risk. Okay? When the obligor is in delay. Eto. Nagkaroon tayo ng ECQ. Okay? Let's say you are into a contract. And doon sa contract na yon, kailangan mo magbayad. Let's say on a staggered basis. Before pa magsimula yung ating lockdown o yung ECQ, hindi ka na nakakabayad. Okay? Hindi ka na nakakabayad before pa mangyari yung ECQ. And then nag-ECQ. After ECQ, sabi mo, dapat exempted ako. Kasi hindi ko naman kasalanan, nag-lockdown eh. Tama ba yung katwiran na yon? No. Kasi, katulad nung letter C, when the obligor is in delay, hindi siya exempted. Kasi before pa mangyari, yung kino-consider nating fortuitous event or force majeure, may delay na siya. So, he or she will still be liable. It's a different matter kung let's say, consistently, religiously nagbabayad ka in accordance to sa kontrata nyo. And then nag-lockdown. Then during the lockdown, hindi ka na makabayad, then hindi mo to kasalanan. It is a fortuitous event and you have not incurred in delay. Hindi ka lang nakabayad during the happening of the fortuitous event. So in that case, you can be exempted. Okay? And the last, when the obligor has promised the same thing to two or more persons who do not have the same interest. Is our project still good? Okay. Now, these are other exceptions. When the possessor is in bad faith and the thing is deteriorated due to fortuitous event, or when the obligor contributed to the loss of the thing, and when the obligor is guilty of fraud, negligence, again, delay. Okay. The last two, this is in accordance with the decision of the Supreme Court. Okay, all decisions of the Supreme Court forms part of the law of the land, so it is also a law that we must follow. Okay. Yeah. Ito, I'm sure maraming question tungkol dito. Bayanihan to heal as one act. Okay. Bakit ko sinama to dito sa webinar natin this afternoon? Because there are two kinds of contracts mentioned in the bayanihan to heal as one act. One is the contract of lease. The other one is the contract of loan. Okay. What does the law tells us? In the Bayanihan Act, we are given, if we are into a contract of lease or a contract of loan, we are given a 30 days grace period in order to pay our outstanding due, our monthly amortization, our monthly rent. Okay. Without incurring additional interest, penalties, and other fees. Okay. Ang question dyan, ito madalas tinatanong sa akin, Attorney, hindi ako nakabayad ng renta ko for March, April, and May. Kasi during those times, naka-lockdown na tayo. Okay. Ano epekto sa akin itong bayanihan to heal as one act? For the contract of lease, we are given a 30 days grace period para bayaran. The question is, Attorney, babayaran ko ba yung 3 buwan sabay-sabay? O pwede ko siya bayaran staggered? Okay? The answer is, kung pagbabasihan natin itong bayanihan to heal as one act, kailangan after the 30 days grace period, you have to pay it in full. Kasi walang nakalagay doon sa implementing rules and regulation of this law na pwede tayong magbayad ng staggered. So, anong gagawin natin? Well, pakiusapan na lang natin yung ating landlord kung pwedeng i-staggered yung payment. But kung tatanungin natin yung sinasabi ng batas, then no choice tayo but to pay it in full after the 30 days grace period. Ang pinayagan lang sa bayanihan to heal as one act na bayaran on a staggered basis are the accrued interest. This refers to the contract of loan. Diba, pag may loan tayo, meron tayong binabayarang principal, meron tayong interest. Okay? So pagdating naman sa loan, ganun din. Hindi mo muna babayaran for 30 days. After 30 days, you have to pay it in full when it comes to the principal. Kasi ang nakalagay sa Bayanihan Act, ang pwede mo lang bayaran on a staggered basis is the accrued interest. Okay? Nakakainis, ano? Pero yan talaga yung yan yung sinasabi ng batas. Mukhang medyo may kulang. As far as I'm concerned, may kulang doon sa batas. Hindi na-anticipate ng ating mga congressmen and senators na during the lockdown, binigyan nga tayo ng 30 days grace period pero nakalimutan nila isipin na hindi rin tayo kumita during the lockdown. So saan natin kukunin ngayon yung pambabayad natin after the 30 days grace period? So kailangan i-amend tong I heard there's a Bayanihan Act 2.
Yes.
So kung magkakaroon man, sana i-correct nila to para naman at least maka-cope up yung mga tao na naipon yung babayaran. But again, let me clarify, insofar as Bayanihan to Heal as One Act, after the 30 days grace period, we need to pay the principal in full. Accrued interest, we can pay it on a staggered basis. Now, it's different if yung nagpautang sa inyo o yung landlord niyo will tell you, sige, staggered natin to. Then, we don't have a problem. Okay? So, thank you. So, that concludes my presentation. It's quite a short presentation, so I'm sure there are many questions.
Yes. Thank you so much, Attorney Oliver Yuan. Palakpakan naman natin si Attorney Oliver Yuan.
Thank you.
Grabe, maiksi yung presentation, pero it's meaty and it's relevant. It's very timely. In fact, Attorney, I just last week, I settled all my utility bills. Si PLDT, I had to pay in full unless I'm willing to fall in line sa PLDT branch nila. Pero si Meralco, July 15 pa siya.
Yeah.
And then divided by, I'm not sure if it's 3 or 4 or 6 months. But the good thing about Smart is, kasi nga maganda yung queuing nila dito, they divided the entire amount to 6. So it was easy for me and for us Filipino people to do that. Yeah. And we also heard of nag-trending to, nag-viral na yung landlord or landlady who's in Italy, in Batangas, yung nasa Batangas yung mga units niya for rent. And then yung for 3 months, libre lahat ng nakatira. So I think apart from the law, what we can do and extend to our fellow men is yung empathy. Di po ba, Attorney?
Agree.
Maawa na lang tayo, mahabag na lang tayo.
Yes,
at the same time, ang huli kong pinuntahan, Attorney, yung isang bangko, kasi nga I have another condo unit na binabayaran ko. They gave me a choice. Sabi nila, Sir Howell, gusto mo ba na bayaran itong 3 months? Or if you want, you just pay the interest for 3 months. And what we will do, you will start paying in full yung July. And what will happen is, let's just say the contract is 10 years. The contract will be 10 years plus 3 months.
Yes.
So sobrang gaan lang, nakaraos. So walang takot, walang magsasara, walang demand letter. So I think those kinds of banks and the owners of these utility services who are really empathic of the Filipino people. I'm sure, Attorney, sa pagbabalik natin, marami in fact, ngayon may 4 na tayong questions eh. So for those of you who are viewing us via Zoom, ayan. So type in your question at the Q&A box. For those of you who are watching via YouTube live stream, you can comment on the comment box, write your comment there, and then it will be forwarded to me by Sir Jeff, our technical director, and of course, Ms. Irish Malonda, our president. Don't you go away. We'll be right back. We promise.
Thank you.
Every coffee needs a lotus.
more ways to extend a helping hand. The financial programs we design with our business partners focus on creating a safety net for devoted employees. We believe secure and happy employees are essential to a successful business.
And welcome back to our webinar with Attorney Oliver Yuan on the topic Force Majeure, the COVID-19 virus, of course, kasama dyan yung kontrata that has been discussed. And it's been very enlightening, and we haven't been informed about, I really love the term extraordinary, grabe, no? Extraordinary. So now, we've been doing this. This is also an extraordinary feat or achievement or project, and which was made possible through Ariva Achievers Foundation, the Bayanihan Act 2020, and the Bayan ng Mahayhay. This is what we call the support our frontliners, extraordinary Filipinos like you, like all of us. We are doing our best, and this is what we do. We help each other during COVID-19. We've been teaching you for free, and this has been made possible by speakers and experts in their field like Attorney Oliver Yuan. So, Attorney, maraming salamat po.
Thank you.
This has been made possible by people like them, and the free content was given to you so that you can watch it over and over again, grow yourself, grow your knowledge, and at least we can, of course, change our attitude about things, upskill ourselves, and perhaps we can have a new way of doing things, which is what we call habit. Now, we also have to have a habit of giving, because this is the call of the moment. As we give back to you and we pay forward, we ask you to pay it forward as well. As you gain free access, you can donate an amount, 100 pesos and up, and whatever the proceeds will be, will go directly to the Bayanihan Act 2020 and Bayan ng Mahayhay. Together, let's show our support to our fellow Filipinos who are in survival mode during this difficult time of the global health crisis. So act now. Let's click and donate. Ayan, no? So, in the paid scheduled events like concerts, theater, plays, ayan, so may mga announcement dyan, si Miss Irish sa Ariva Academy Philippines Inc. chat group. All right. So, ready na po ba tayo for the Q&A? So here are the mechanics. If you are a Zoom participant, you may want to type in your question at the Q&A box, because as of this moment, we'll be opening the Q&A box. You may also do a Zoom live question. I'm sure ang daming HR practitioners dito na maraming tanong, especially that we've been enlightened that yes, COVID-19 is also a force majeure. And for our Facebook Live viewers, and via Zoom, yes, or YouTube viewers, ayan, pwede kayong mag-type ng questions sa comment box. All right, so Attorney, ready na po ba tayo?
Yep. Let's begin.
From the Q&A box, Michael John Linga, how about pro-form invoice? Can we use it as a contract and the customer has signed it?
Yes. Yes, as long as it would show there the intention of the parties, what kind of transaction are they entering into, it could be considered a contract.
Very good. Thank you, sir. For another question, follow-up question by Michael John Linga, what if the body of the contract does not have the conditions, provisions, and articles? Can we assume that it is already understandable?
Are we talking about fortuitous event or force majeure?
Ayan, hindi clarify ni Michael John Linga. So what if Attorney, yun nga,
Okay, I would assume he's referring to force majeure provision or fortuitous event. As I've explained earlier, if there is no provision for force majeure, then we apply the general rule. The person may not incur liability. because by reason of force majeure under the law, we are exempted from any liability unless it is stipulated in the contract.
Thank you, Attorney. Now, from our President, in a paid scheduled events like President Ms. Iris Malonda Sancho.
Yes.
In a paid scheduled events like concerts, theater plays, conferences, the events are put on hold due to lockdown and limitation on mass gatherings. Until further notice, are the organizers obliged to refund the payments ASAP?
Actually, it would depend on the terms and conditions of the contract that they have entered into. In some contracts, they do provide a reimbursement, but sometimes not 100%. So I cannot assume as a general rule that they should reimburse whatever down payment given to them or whatever payment. So it would depend on the terms and conditions.
Okay, so I have friends who are organizers of concerts. So what they do is they would say, hold on to your tickets, and so that when everything becomes normal again and we hold it at the MOA Arena, those tickets will still be valid. Some organizers did that. Will that be okay, Attorney?
That would be okay.
Wonderful.
As long as the parties are willing to agree on that, there's no problem.
Thank you, sir. From Nancy Sevilla, the DTI issued MC number 2029 on 2nd of June 2020, providing for a 6-month amortization schedule for rents falling due during the CQ for affected lessees. Those who were unable to work, business were not allowed to operate. 6 months is reckoned from the expiry of the 30-day grace period. So what's your opinion on that, sir?
Well, DTI can do that. But if we're going to refer to the Bayanihan Tuhil as One Act, it doesn't say there that DTI can actually give a 6 months sort of a moratorium. But the problem there is, after 6 months, will you have to pay everything in full, or again, can you be allowed to pay it on a staggered basis? So actually, for me, the problem is not the moratorium period to be given to you. It's really your financial capacity to pay it in full after that.
Thank you, sir, for that. Again, from Michael John Linga, what if customer buys from our company, pays 100%, but due to COVID, our cargo was delayed? Customer insists to refund the money, but we booked the order. Shall we return the money or we keep and deliver the cargo?
Well, the question is, who incurred the who is the cause of the problem? I mean, if it's COVID-19...
COVID-19 daw po, Attorney.
That's the reason why the cargo has not left the port, probably. Well, I think pwedeng hindi nila ibalik yung yung payment. Antayin na lang kasi it's not their fault na hindi nakarating yung cargo eh.
Kasi it's ordinary fortuitous.
Fortuitous event yun eh. Pero again, depende kung may kontrata sila o wala eh. Kung may kontrata, again, babalik tayo, ano yung nakalagay sa kontrata. Pero kung wala, and it's a caused by a fortuitous event, then pwede lang di balik dahil wala silang kasalanan doon.
Okay. Attorney, anonymous attendee is asking you paano po kung may hinuhulugang sasakyan na hindi pa tapos pero na total wreck ito, kailangan po bang tapusin ang mga natitirang installments?
Yes. Kasi meron kang contract nung nag-loan ka na you have to pay it in full. So that's the reason why meron tayong mga insurance require. That would cover yung expenses doon sa wreck na nangyari.
In fact, Attorney, nagtrabaho kasi ako. First job ko in 1994 was in automobile industry eh. So, yung mga kliyente ko, mas gusto nilang ma-total wreck kesa makarnap.
Yes.
Alam niyo kung bakit, Attorney? Kasi pag total wreck, papalitan. Pero pag carnap, pag nakuha ulit at naibalik, kung gaanong itsura nyo, kung gaano kapangit at kalaspag, kailangan tanggapin.
Yun. Another problem is that ang hirap nung proseso sa carnap vehicles.
So, yun pa. Kaya nga, some people would say, you would say napaka-negative naman ng thought na yun na sana mas total wreck na lang. Pero practically speaking, that's their choice.
Ang problema dyan na nakikita ko, minsan may mga nagka-car loan, required ang insurance for these
required lagi, nakita pos.
Ang problema, kung hindi mo renew yung insurance mo and then something happen. So, obligado ka pa rin bayaran yung amortization mo, tapos sasagutin mo pa yung pagpapagawa mo kasi hindi ka covered ng insurance.
Totoo yun. Attorney, in the case na akala mo, in-insure ng agent yung kotse mo, hindi pala. Sino pala nagot nun?
No, kasi normally yung nag-loan din ng nagpapa-insure. Yung proseso tinutulungan siya, let's say sa bangko. Tutulungan ka ng bangko i-renew yung insurance, pero you have to pay. So if you do not pay, then hindi mako-cover ng insurance 'yon. Hindi yun automatic.
Ganda ng consultation natin, attorney, gusto ko to. From Rossini Conwy, si Ma'am Rossini Conwy, how about services po? Say an employee was not able to communicate with the employer during the lockdown. Though there was no work, but employee did not communicate. Is that breach of contract?
Well, not really. Again, hindi nakapag-communicate. Kung i-reason out ng employee, it's because of COVID-19, kaya di ako nakapag-communicate.
Pwede rin,
So again, for Tito's event na rin. Saka, yun nga, wala rin naman trabaho. Diba? No work, no pay naman tayo. So, wala problema ako
na furlough.
Yeah.
Thank you po.
Hindi naman pwedeng sabihin absent siya kasi talaga naman di nakapasok karamihan.
Totoo naman. In fact, yung iba nga attorney na taga Cavite had to go to Makati, nag-opt na lang sila na kung hindi sila i-furlough or pag-antayin ng 3 months para bumalik, mag-resign na lang sila kasi talagang it's a living hell out there kung makikipaglaban ka, especially nung first week of June.
It's different, let's say sa call centers during the lockdown. Hinaus nila sa hotel for some call centers. Hinaus nila yung mga agents nila sa hotel. So, nakapagtrabaho pa rin yung mga yon. So, it's a different matter.
Okay, so from Rushid J. Sancon, good PM po. I would like to ask po the effect cancellation of pending event, wedding, brought fortuitous event ng COVID. In case the client paid a down payment, can they refund the whole down payment?
Well, again, parang yung question kanina yan, depende. Okay, unang-una, walang may kasalanan kung bakit na-cancel or na-hold yung event. So, if there is no written contract, so tatanungin lang natin kung may pananagutan yung may-ari ng event, kung wala, then pwede niyang hindi i-refund. Pero kung may kontrata sila, again, it would depend sa terms and conditions ng kontrata.
Okay. Attorney, paano daw yung mga nag-down payments sa schools pero hindi na kayang magpatuloy ang mga bata? Pwede bang ma-refund yung down payment sa schools?
Oo, kasi kung hindi naman sila hindi. Sa schools kasi ang ginawa, consider pinasa na kagad eh.
Okay.
I-refund medyo mahirap pero legally speaking dapat pwede eh.
So,
kasi nagbayad ka for the whole year pero hindi naman nabigay sa iyo yung serbisyo na binayaran mo eh. So dapat pwede mo talaga i-refund 'yon.
Grabe, ang galing. Thank you, attorney. Arnold Mendoza, generally under the contract, if it's force majeure, contractor can claim for a time extension but not for additional cost. Is there a way for a contractor to still claim for additional cost as an effect of COVID-19 work suspension?
Hindi.
Kasi nga 3 months nilang pinakain yung mga construction workers.
Well, hindi eh. Kasi kung during that 3-month period, hindi naman nagtatrabaho, hindi ka obligado magbayad. So there's no additional cost. Pero kung pinagtrabaho mo, during the 3-month period, wala tayong magagawa. Pero
sabi po, attorney, na ito kasi mga displaced Filipinos from Bohol, from Zamboanga, nagpunta rito as construction workers. Sinagot ho namin 3 buwan pakain, ang laki ho ng lugi namin.
Tapos hindi sila nakapagtrabaho.
pero pinakain at nasa barracks at kasi pananagutin sila pag pinabayaan yung mga tao nila.
Wala eh. Expense talaga nung ano yun eh, nung contractor yun eh. Hindi mo siya pwedeng ipasa as additional cost. Kasi sa construction, magkakaroon ka lang na additional cost kung magbabago yung plano eh.
Okay.
Pero insofar as yung manpower cost is concerned, labas-labas na yung developer dun eh.
Charge it to experience.
Yes, sadly.
Okay. From Arnold Mendoza pa rin, for contracts to be awarded wherein COVID-19 was not considered during the bids, and following the premise that there is no additional cost for the effect of COVID-19 as force majeure, can contractor refuse to sign the contract unless there will be additional cost, and they can still recover the bid fund. Kung daming nanalo na ng kontrata.
Linawin lang natin. Ang situation is that nagkaroon ng bidding.
Nanalo siya before the
lockdown, let's say, or the COVID. And then,
ganito na, pipirma pa ba?
Well, kasi ano yan eh, yung mga bidding na yan, may proseso yan eh, and part of the process is the payment. So whether to pay or not, it's entirely up to that winning bidder.
Ayan.
Pero pwede siyang hindi pumirma, hindi mapupunta sa kanya yung project. Madi-disqualify siya.
Okay.
So the reason whether to pay or not, well, it's entirely up to the winning bidder.
Okay. Thank you po, Attorney. Anonymous attendee, if there are default payments since last year due to integrity issues of the loan firm, POGOs, or instance, am I still liable? Would there be any extension and or consideration? Harassment call, text messages, and threats for legal actions were performed by the financial firm. What is this? Any thoughts? Appreciate it. Thanks.
Again, can we clarify that? Ano yung situation niya?
Ma-clarify kasi yun lang yung sinabi ni Arnold Mendoza eh. Anonymous attendee pala.
Medyo hindi ko naintindihan yung situation.
Sige sir, ulitin po natin ha. Basahin ko.
Okay.
Sige. Verbatim to po, attorney ha.
Okay.
If there are default payments since last year due to integrity issues of the loan firm, kasi POGO yata yung nag-loan or...
Okay.
Am I still liable? Would there be any extension or consideration? Kasi daw may mga harassment calls siya, may mga text messages, may mga threats siya sa legal actions.
Okay. If we're talking about loan transaction, for sure merong kontrata yan eh. So definitely he will still be liable if he's defaulting in his or her payments.
Sige po.
Ano lang yan, apply lang din natin yung Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. He can be given 30-day grace period, but the point is, he still needs to pay.
Ayun. Anonymous attendee ulit, attorney po. Under Bayanihan law, what is the reckoning period of 30 days? Is it end of ECQ or the lifting of GCQ?
End of the ECQ. End of the ECQ.
Kasi yung alam mo sa Google kasi naka-sync, in sync sa Google yung mga payments, yung mga due for payments ko eh. So mga 3 days before, Google will remind me, Howell, your due date will be in 3 days. Sabi niya, please proceed to the closest smart branch or PLDT payment system. Thank you po. So lifting, end of ECQ, not the lifting of GCQ.
Yes.
Malinaw po sa ating lahat yan. Kerwin Tume, meaning total wreck not due to obliger's fault. Ito yung kanina ni sinabi niya dun sa na total wreck.
He still needs to pay. It's still a contract of loan.
Okay. Maria Freselinho, what if the action to enforce the obligation prescribed during the ECQ? Or what if the action to enforce the obligation prescribed during the ECQ? Is the obligation extinguished? Can the creditor use the ECQ that the date of prescription has been moved?
I don't understand how the enforcement ba yung nag-prescribe?
Sabi niya, what if the action to enforce
Well, the action to enforce, I don't see any
was during ECQ period.
Yeah, I don't see a situation wherein the action to enforce would prescribe. If we're talking of, let's say, a contract of loan or a credit card payment, it will not prescribe. I mean,
actually, attorney nga yung mga credit card, di ba auto-generated yung interest nila for 3 months?
Yes.
They manually overrode it and they have canceled all the interest for the past 3 months.
Yes, because of the Bayanihan Act, there should be no additional penalty and other fees. And the accrued interest can be paid on a staggered basis.
Yes. Attorney, anonymous attendee, how about sales orders? Similar to pro forma invoice, also considered contract din po ba yung sales orders?
Yes, kasi it's an evidence. Otherwise kasi, you will not have those kinds of documents if you do not have any transaction with that person. Okay. So, ako, in the civil cases that I'm handling, if there is really no particular complete contract, pero merong mga ganyan, invoice, delivery receipt, then I use it as an evidence of indebtedness. Otherwise, those documents will not exist if there is no transaction.
Okay. Thank you po, attorney. Sonny Bob Cardinal, what if the force majeure provisions have different interpretations from both parties? For example, acts of government, we are submitting registration requirements abroad, but the Philippine government is unable to process our compliances due to lockdown.
Well, kanina na-discuss ko yan sa interpretation ng contract. If the wordings of the contract itself is ambiguous or it's not clear, then we just have to find what is the real intention of the parties, and that will govern. So it's always the intention of the parties.
Kasi kung subjective ito, magulo. Kasi nga,
mawawala naman yung diniscuss ko kanina, mutuality of contract. As I've said, kailangan mutually agree kayo dyan sa mga terms and conditions. So titingnan mo lang ano ba talaga ang intention ng parties do sa force majeure provision nila. Will there still be liability or not? So yun lang ang masusunod.
Another anonymous attendee is asking if there are, I think nabasa na to. Answer na to live. Arnold Mendoza, can COVID-19 be considered as change in legislation so contractor can claim for additional cost?
Change in legislation? I don't think so.
So hindi. Anonymous attendee, what if customers sign the contract but the price of raw materials as per manufacturer shoot up and the manufacturer cannot deliver based on the contract price? Can we chase the manufacturer from China to keep the same price?
Yes.
They said that the price of raw materials increased due to huge demand and COVID condition.
But that's the reason why we enter into contracts, especially dyan sa mga ganyang klaseng transactions, in order for us to peg yung cost natin. So there's already a contract na ito yung babayaran ko, ito yung cost na binibili ko, you cannot change that. Even if, let's say, magbago yung presyo ng raw materials, it's not my problem. We already have a contract, so we follow the contract.
Okay, thank you po, attorney. So, lugi yung manufacturer.
Lugi yung manufacturer.
Anonymous attendee, the loan contract provided by Pogo Loan Firm is not clear. It bears 20% interest per month. Is this lawful? The online loan firm is not SEC registered and no tax remittance to BIR. We can hardly pay the loan since the contract was provided after the loan amount is released.
So, if I understand it right, lumalabas masyadong mataas yung interest.
20% per month?
20%. Well, I can say na it is not, the interest is not valid. It is illegal. Although we don't have any usury law right now, pero based sa Supreme Court decision, our legal rate of interest right now is 12% per annum or 1%
Sir,
per
matindi,
month.
20% per month.
Yeah, so malaki yan. It can be questioned pagka nagsampa ka ng demanda questioning that high interest, the court can lower it down.
Okay.
But still, you still have to pay the loan.
Ito yata yung hinaharas at may mga death threats kanina.
Well, that's a different matter kung ano yung kanilang collection strategy. May mga ganyan talaga na they employ threats and other means, pero that's already a collection strategy.
Ayan. Joel Marcaida, can a non-notarized contract stand in a court of law?
Ayan, okay. Good question. We can put the question this way. What is the effect of a notary in a contract? Okay, I'll explain. Let's say it's a private contract. Let's say me and you, Howell, we have a contract. Okay. So since we're both private persons, that contract of ours is a private contract. Okay. Based on the definition of contract under the law, pag nagpirmahan tayong dalawa, that is already valid. That is a contract. Nag-agree tayo. There's meeting of the minds. Malinaw yung subject matter. No? Payag tayo sa lahat ng terms and conditions. Yung pag-affix mo ng signature mo, yun na yung proof na you're agreeing in all the terms and conditions. So in so far as both of us are concerned, that contract is already valid.
Ayun.
Whether ipanotaryo natin yan o hindi.
Okay.
Okay, now, sabi mo, attorney, ipanotaryo natin, and then pinanotaryo natin. What happens? Yung pagnotaryo, yung ating private document becomes now a public document because of the notary. Okay, now, what's the difference between a private and a public? So what? Okay, let's say later on, nagkaroon tayo ng kasuhan sa korte. Okay, and yung contract natin, prinesenta ng isa sa atin as an evidence. Kung notaryado yan, since it is a public document, it enjoys the presumption of regularity. Kumbaga, between a public and a private document, in terms of weight of evidence, mas mabigat yung public compared to the private. Okay. Pero in so far as the validity of the contract is concerned, it doesn't matter. Parehong valid yun.
Ayan. Galing. Thank you po, attorney. Magandang, ang dami kong natutunan sa inyo ngayon. I'm sure the HR practitioners have learned so much as well from you. May time pa po tayo, attorney. Pwede po mag-entertain pa tayo ng maraming questions?
Sure.
Anonymous attendee, what if customer confirmed order via SMS? Can we use it as legal binding?
Yes. SMS. Yes, kasi meron na tayong electronic evidence rule.
Ayun, that's what you call electronic evidence.
Yes.
Follow-up question by Arnold Mendoza, change in legislation, issuance from Department of Health or IATF concerning COVID-19. Since construction cannot be in full blast because of less than 50% of manpower and social distancing is in effect, it will reduce productivity, thereby delaying the project timeline. In effect, longer standby period for equipment and probably manpower. Totoo yun, ano? Hindi na ma-maximize yung mga equipment that they have rented. Ang mahal niyan. So, paano daw kaya yun, attorney?
Actually, I do not call it a change of legislation. Kasi when we call legislation, kasi these are laws passed by Congress. So yung mga binibigay ng IATF, it has the effect of a law. Pero the way I understand it, basta kung sabihin ng IATF na this is the policy right now, then all we need to do is to follow. We cannot question that.
Thank you po. Another question from an anonymous attendee. What if customers signed the contract, then changed the mind not to proceed? Can we honor it?
Yes. There's already a contract. They have already signed it. So when you affix your signature, you already sign your conformity to all the terms and conditions of the contract. Even if you change your mind later on, sorry na lang sa'yo. Wala ka na magagawa kasi you have entered into a contract already.
Thank you, Attorney. Attorney, ako naman personally, kasi may mga contract kami ng Ariva. For example, na-close namin yung deal. Supposedly, ang training is March, kaso hindi natuloy. And nakalagay sa contract na they have to pay 50% in advance. And then yung another 50% would be after the training has been conducted already. So ano kayang pwede namin gawin doon? Naawa naman kaming maningil kasi nga hindi naman natuloy.
Well, pwede naman let's just put it on hold for the meantime until such time na we can resume those lectures, those seminars.
Kasi talagang unawaan na lang, attorney, sa panahon ito, no? So you can just always be legal. Sometimes you have to be moral as well.
Kasi pag pinilit mo din, sasabihin nila, pagbabayarin mo ako, pero may kapalit yung bayad ko hindi mo rin naman madideliver
Yeah, totoo yan.
Again, mutuality. Kung may nagbabayad, may kapalit yung bayad na yon. So, kung gusto mo maningil, make sure na kaya mo i-deliver naman yung kapalit. Ganun lang yan.
Thank you po, Attorney. From Rossini Conwy naman, how about if the employer cannot pay the salary because of COVID? And out of goodwill, just gives 20 to 30% of the salary as a goodwill.
That would be a violation of the labor code.
Ayan.
So, kung nagtrabaho yung tao, you must pay that employee in accordance dun sa talagang dapat na sahod niya. Hindi mo siya pwede bawasan. Violation ng labor code na yun.
So, yun. So, pwede rin siguro kung hindi naman nagtrabaho, tapos hindi pa naman tinatanggal at binigyan mo ng 20 to 30%, thankful. Mas maganda yun. Yung hindi mo trabaho na binigyan mo ng ayuda.
That would be generosity of the employer na yun. Kasi no work, no pay tayo, pero nagbayad ka pa rin at least 20 to 30%. Yes. The employee should be grateful.
From Sonny Bob Cardinal, can a force majeure event like COVID pandemic be used as a reason to cancel na lang the contract, terminate na lang the contract?
It would depend. It would depend. Kasi kunyari, let's say, yung isa dapat magbabayad. Pero as I've said, yung isa may kapalit naman na dapat gagawin. Pero hindi natin matutuloy because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We can easily cancel it.
Ayan.
It's either we cancel or we postpone it on a future date.
Put on hold na lang, pwede rin naman.
Pwede rin naman. So, depende rin sa parties. Pero kung sa tingin nila na it's better to cancel it, why not? Wala namang naargabyado Ang problema lang dito, let's say yung mga meron ng down payment. That would be an issue. That would be an issue.
Thank you po. Attorney, from an anonymous attendee, can a bank withdraw its loan approval which was given prior to the ECQ?
I think no. If there is really proof that it was given already, it was already approved, then they cannot get it back.
Ayan. So in fact, attorney, ako noong February, I received an approval of a loan for a very expensive car. Buti na lang nag-ipon ako ng pang-down for March. Tapos nagka-lockdown. Ngayong early June, sinasabi, "Sir, kunin mo na tong kotse." Sabi ko, "No, thank you. I'll just put it on hold." Kasi imagine, buti na lang hindi ko agad kinuha. Otherwise, 3 months would have hurt me so much.
Yeah, and you're already bound by it.
Oo, ayun. So, pero yun nga, attorney, 3 months after, they still say that the loan approval is still valid.
Yes, it's still valid. It's up to you kung tutuloy yung loan mo o hindi.
So ako, I decided not to get it anymore.
Ayun.
Kasi hindi ko kailangan ngayon yun Kailangan natin pagkain.
Pero doon sa nag-ask ng question,
if
he or she wants to proceed with the loan, pwede. Kasi it was already approved.
Yun. So hindi pwedeng kunin or bawiin ng bangko. 6 months. Cromwell, ayan. Ito si best in recitation, si Sir Cromwell Maestrado. Mobile lenders are debt shaming their borrowers by texting their contacts about their outstanding debt. Online lending apps accused of shaming borrowers by texting contacts. What legal thing to do? What legal to file daw, sabi ni Cromwell. Pero I think last year may nagkauso-uso yan eh.
Yes. Depende. Yung debt shaming bang ginagawa, ano ba yung nakalagay? Kasi will it fall
Makabayan, sinishame yung mga mangungutang.
But the point is, will it fall under cyber libel o hindi? Or does it violate the Data Privacy Act? So, yun yung mga magulong dapat tignan. So,
especially those who take snapshots of their clients and borrowers, tapos i-shame nila sa Facebook, no?
Yes, especially if it's not true.
Especially if it's not true.
Yes.
So, ang sabi ni Ma'am Rosini Conway, no, hindi po naman sila nagtatrabaho. Pero binigyan nila ng 20 to 30%. Wow, ang bait nila.
Wow. I salute the employer.
Sana all, Ma'am Rosini. Sana all.
Yes. I salute the employer.
Sana all employers are like you. Anonymous attendee, what if the operation stopped due to COVID-19 and the tenant can no longer pay the balance the balance due, and there is still security deposit that could have covered 80% of the balance? Can the lessee take it from there and hold nothing against the tenant since tenant business is no longer running?
Parang pre-termination ang yung sabihin.
Ipambayad na lang siguro yung security deposit.
Depende sa Again, depende kung ano nakalagay doon sa contract of lease. If there is a pre-termination clause, then that would govern. Kung wala, depende na sa usapan nila ng lessor. Meron akong client na meron silang inuupahan sa mall. I think Robinsons. Sa Ayala. And then ang ginawa ng Ayala, yung 3 months, the lockdown period, yung half ng March, and then April and May, talagang hindi nila pinabayaran doon sa mga stall owners. So, it would depend. So, doon, in that case, yung Ayala, hindi na nag-base kung ano yung nakalagay sa kontrata nila. Out of its generosity, sila na nagsabi, sige, wag na muna kayong magbayad during those periods.
Yung gusto natin, yung mga may pusong mayayaman na may-ari ng mga kumpanya at may-ari nitong mga malls na ito, we want them, we want to emulate them. We want other businesses to emulate them.
Pero by the way, usually sa contract of lease din, kung let's say you really have the obligation to pay and you fail to pay the monthly rent, kung magkakaroon ka ng default, I think that would be one reason para i-terminate yung contract mo.
Ayun. Yeah. Attorney, punta tayo sa mga present questions. Na-receive niyo ba itong mga present questions natin?
Yes.
Okay, so sorry, from Sonny Bob, how to handle or propose counter proposals in case there are misunderstandings on interpretation of force majeure clauses. Oo nga
nasagot ko na kanina yan. Again, titingnan natin kung ano talaga yung real intention ng parties do sa contract.
Equality, attorney?
I mean, madali naman tignan yun kung ano talaga ibig nila sabihin do sa force majeure provision nila. Ang tanong lang doon, will there still be liability in the happening of a force majeure or not? So, yun lang ang titingnan natin doon.
Ayan. From Juliet, I am canceling my unexpired lease contract. It's a youth center rental. Will I be refunded my 3-month deposit? I am giving up the youth center this July 2020 because the youth have not been using it since the ECQ. And my business that pays for the rental has been badly affected by the pandemic. Kawawa naman si Ma'am Juliet.
Well, it would depend on the terms and conditions of the contract of lease. There are contract of lease na pagka ganyang sitwasyon, forfeited lahat, including the security deposit. So it would depend on the terms and conditions, and it would depend on the attitude or the generosity of the lessor.
A youth center to so giving back to, or paying it forward. Sana yung may-ari ng building na to maging mabait.
Parang yung mga nagre-rent ng spaces for gyms. Patagal nang walang gym starting since the start of the lockdown. So paano yung mga rent nila? Wala namang activity. So sing banana.
Puso na lang talaga, no?
Puso na lang, that's true.
Ayan. Agnes Joy, in an event that the client postpones, what is the reasonable length of time that the client may be allowed to avail of the contracted services at the same cost?
Well, depende na sa pag-uusap nila unless it is stipulated in the contract. Yung mga anticipate nila yung ganyang situation. If none, then nasa pag-uusap na lang nila yan.
Ayan. Denise Camille, is COVID-19 a black swan or considered a black swan?
What is a black swan?
Well, unforeseen events din to. Something that surprises us. So I think,
yes.
I believe it's a black swan.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So when a black swan appears, we have to be ready to pivot. Yun na lang. Gary, is ECQ a force majeure event? You already answered it.
Yes.
Selimar, is it okay to terminate employee during the pandemic?
Terminate? I'm not sure kung may linabas ang Department of Labor and Employment na memorandum regarding that. Pero alam ko, bawal mag-terminate during the pandemic.
Opo. In fact, attorney, meron kaming speaker dito, HR consultant, one of the best HR consultant. Ang sabi niya, wag naman. Kung ang reason is walang masakyan from Cavite to Manila, wag niyong terminate. Kawawa naman talaga.
Pero ibang usapan kung let's say may ginawang ibang yung empleyado. If it falls to the grounds for termination, then wala tayong magagawa. Pero kung ang reason for terminating is the pandemic, hindi pwede.
Thank you po. From Belinda, reduction of manpower due to retrenchment as effect of COVID-19. Can this be added as safety net in the E2E contract for new hires?
What does it mean?
Reduction of manpower. Yun nga, ano kaya ibig sabihin ni Belinda? Pero let's assume na magbabawas sila because of ng manpower because of COVID-19.
Well, actually, yan ang nangyayari sa ngayon. In fact, in my FB wall, meron ako article about that, COVID-19 and retrenchment. Kasi nga, yan yung nangyayari in most companies right now. Well, the employers are allowed to effect a retrenchment program. Kasi kung talagang hindi na kaya ng negosyo, wala tayong magagawa. It is provided for naman under the labor code. As long as you follow the necessary procedure.
Tama, attorney. Ang maganda lang sa ginawa ng, for example, si Sir Ron Thomas from Dubai, ang ginawa nila when they tried to retrench their employees, nag-build sila ng bridge to ensure na may malilipatang trabaho or may makukusyon yung fall ng mare-retrench na employees. Ang galing.
Well, at least ganun yung attitude ng employer na yon. Pero legally speaking, pwede silang mag-retrench and wala. As in, effect lang nila yung retrenchment program.
Okay, thank you po, attorney. Marinette, what are the lessons brought about by COVID-19 to business in terms of deliveries, distributorship agreements, and the allowable changes to incorporate in these contracts?
Ay, marami yan.
Marami.
I mean, talagang natuto tayo sa effect ng COVID-19. Diba, we're talking of new normal right now. So we have to really change our business model in order to adapt to the new normal. Otherwise, mahihirapan yung negosyo natin.
Totoo yan. So Michael John has 4 questions. The first 3 has been answered already. I'll read the 4th. Cargo originally shipped and prepared very smooth and clean. But during shipment, inside the container, it encountered problems like leak. Whereas during loading, the cargo inspected by its third party was no leak and clean. Can we tell that we will not pay for it because it went beyond our control and is under force majeure?
I don't think it's under force majeure because
mishandling
Mishandling, oo. Mishandling, may leak Oo. So sagutin niya ng cargo.
Ayan. In fact, di ba, nung huling, nung last Friday, galit na galit po ang ating mahal na presidente sa JNT. Kasi nag-viral yung tinatapon ng mga grabe, di ba? Mga parcels. So ang mananagot doon ay ang
yung shipping company.
Shipping company. Thank you po. So, wow. Just 2 more questions, attorney. Okay lang po? Melanie, what is lessee's protection in times of COVID-19? Is COVID-19 considered? Yeah, it's been considered force majeure. So ano pa daw yung mga lessee's protection?
Wala. We are confined doon sa bayanihan to heal as one act. Well, yung kaninang may nag-question na minention niya yung DTI memorandum. Well, yan. Kung ano lang yung pinapayagan ng gobyerno sa ngayon, hanggang doon na talaga tayo. But we cannot create our own policy or our own benefit because of COVID-19.
So thank you po, attorney. Itong last question, nasagot yun na. Nevertheless, let me just read this. This from Ma'am Rizalina. What is the Bayanihan Act when it comes to rental during lockdown? Can we request from the lessors to freeze our rental? So at least nasagot na natin to. But we just want to read it to thank Ma'am Rizalina.
Okay.
Attorney Oliver Yuan, bago namin kayo palakpakan, gusto ko munang tanungin kayo. We call it the last minute or the takeaway. Ano yung gusto mong isipin namin bago kami matulog mamaya? Nuggets of wisdom that could benefit all of us.
For the people who are in business, it's very important that in every transaction, you have executed the right contract. And every transaction must be documented. Ito yung lagi ko sinasabi sa mga clients ko eh. As much as possible, iwasan mo although, as I've said, verbal agreements are valid, but it is not practical. Okay, so in order to protect your interest, your business, all transactions must be documented and you should have the right contracts.
Ayan. Thank you so much, attorney. In fact, marami magkaibigan ang nag-away dahil sa pera.
Yes. Magkaibigan, magpamilya.
Pamilya, nag-away dahil sa pera kasi verbal agreement lang. So maganda yung sinabi mo, attorney. We thank you for that. In fact, si Ma'am Rosini ang sabi, clap, clap, clap. Salamat po. Very informative.
Thank you.
She resonated all of our thoughts, all of us. Those are our thoughts. So maraming salamat, Attorney Oliver Yuan. Attorney, meron ba kayong upcoming event with Ariva or anything that you do, that you render for the public that we can benefit from?
Pinag-uusapan pa. Pinag-uusapan pa. So far, wala pa.
May Facebook page ka po ba, attorney, na pwede namin i-follow?
Yeah, Oliver S. Yuan.
Ayan.
Nagpo-post ako doon ng mga legal articles.
Wow. Thank you so much, attorney. Maraming salamat. 1.5 hours of legal information that has not only informed us, has grown us, and has cleared away all those gray clouds over our head about force majeure and pandemic. Maraming salamat, attorney, ha? And hopefully may part 2 and 3 ito. So, kami sasaya. At salamat.
Thank
you so much, everybody. Big hand for Attorney Oliver. And now let's welcome back on screen our beautiful president, Ms. Irish Malonda Samson. Ayan.
Thank you, Sir Howell. Okay, everyone, a big hand for Attorney Oliver Yuan. Virtual clap, everyone. Thank you so much. So, very informative nga, no, Sir Howell. Nakatulala ako. Nakikinig ako.
Practical, and it has cleared away all the questions in our minds.
Yes, sir.
Ano na?
Your takeaway. So from today,
natin sila.
Yes, of course, our participants share with us kung anong natutunan niyo po for this webinar. And of course, Sir Howell, what's yours?
Ako yung nagustuhan ko.
Now on, what will you do in entering a contract?
So I thought all the while, let me tell you this, all the while I thought that the only contracts that will be honored by the court is a notarized contract. Yun ang alam ko. I'm already 47. I'll be 48 this month. And in my almost 48 years of existence, ang akala ko lang na i-honor ng korte yung notarized. So maganda yung sinabi ni attorney na pwede naman, kasi nga, it's a private contract, may owner pa rin siya. But then again, to be safe, at mas mabigat, yung timbang, ipanotarize.
Ipanotarize, definitely, of course. And Sir Howell, thank you so much for moderating our session. Let's check kung, ayan, puro thank yous.
Puro thank you, ano?
Yes, puro thank you. Okay.
Speaking of thank you, I wish. Gusto
Yes,
ko mag-thank you sa Ariva family. Napakaganda ng camera na to. Thank you. Madam Iris.
You're welcome. You're welcome, sir.
Madam Ann and Madam VP Mitch, maraming salamat. Grabe. Parang naging cute ako dito. Salamat. Oh.
You're welcome, Sir Howell. Of course. Yeah. Thank you for moderating our session from April, starting April.
Alam mo, kahit abot, wag naman sana, pero kahit ilang buwan o taon pa ito, it's always an honor to do this kasi ganyan ko kamahal ang Ariva fans ko.
Super thankful kami sa inyo, Sir Howell. And of course, thank you for moderating our session today.
Always a pleasure. Kailan ulit tayo makikita?
On Thursday, sir.
On Thursday. So maraming salamat. Stay beautiful, J-Lo.
Thank you. Okay,
thanks, everyone.
Please don't go away. I still have a few announcements to make. Okay, Ariva Academy would like to thank the following win-win partners. We would like to thank our official media partner, Art Plus Magazine, digital media partners, Focus Media, Globaltronics, City Advertising Ventures, Outcome, Elevate Media. For win-win partners, thank you to Brother, Faber-Castell, Gluta-C, Moringa O2, KFC, Mr. Donut, Tokyo, Lotus Biscoff, Boss Job, Cert Technology Inc., Finma Properties, Salary Jet, Frontier Software, Ilawi Korea, Kitolson and Carpo Consulting, Enchanted Kingdom, Disperse, Cosmotech Philippines Inc., MindChomp's virtual preschool program. To register, please call them at 0906-486-0710 or email them at disakanabe@mindchomps.org. Essential Safety Products PH for your personal protective equipment for your health and safety compliance requirements. Please email them at essentialsafetyph@gmail.com. And if you want to place your ads here, advertise your company, your services, your logo, have a brand exposure to thousands of viewers at Zoom, LinkedIn, Facebook, please email us at marketing@ariva.com.ph. Again, it's marketing@ariva.com.ph. Stay on top of our insights and our updates. Stay connected. Visit us on our social media sites. Please join the Ariva Academy Facebook group, like the Ariva Academy Facebook fan page, follow the Ariva Academy Facebook LinkedIn page, and visit us on our website. It's www.ariva.com.ph. And if you want to watch the replay of our e-learning session with Atty. Oliver Yuan and our previous e-learning sessions, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Ariva Academy and Ariva Talks. Again, it's Ariva Academy and Ariva Talks. For our upcoming online learning sessions, we would like to invite you an e-learning masterclass, of course, powered by Ariva Academy Digital Marketing Intensive Masterclass. This will be on Thursday, July 9, 3 to 5 in the afternoon, and this will be discussed by Mr. Chris Rando. Another e-learning masterclass, Accounts Retention, Recovering Management in the New Normal, Strategies and Initiatives to Avoid Losing Customers, Clients, Relations. This will be on Friday. We have 2 parts. Morning session will be at 10 to 12:30, and in the afternoon session will be 3 to 5:30, okay? An e-learning masterclass, of course, by Mr. Jonathan Yabut, how to execute webinars, online meetings, and virtual conferences. This will be on Tuesday, July 14, 4 to 6 in the afternoon, and this is only $799 per participant. Another e-learning masterclass, of course, by none other than Mr. Howell Mabalot, Leadership Skills for Supervisors in Turbulent Times. This will be on Thursday, July 16, 3 to 5 in the afternoon, and this is only $599 per participant. Another e-learning masterclass, Realigning Supply Chain and Logistics Strategies and Initiatives in the New Normal, Friday, July 17. Pivoting Your Career, How to Be a Virtual Assistant Without an Experience, July 17 and 18. That's going to be Friday and Saturday, 2 to 6 in the afternoon. And we have invited Maria Dolores Garner Florentino to discuss the session. And of course, we would like to invite you, Health and Safety Works Virtual Forum. This will be on July 27 and 28. This is a two-day forum, 10 to 12 in the morning and 2 to 5 in the afternoon, building a proactive safety and health culture. Please do join us. And of course, we would like to invite you. Please do save the dates. This will be on October 26 to 30. There's a 5-day virtual journey, 5-day learning event. The Asia's highly anticipated HR learning event, the Philippine HR Congress, Transcendence, Converging People Science and Technology, Reinventing HR, Redefining Experiences in the New Normal. Please do email us to register. And if you want to customize an e-learning session for your team, for your company, please do email me at 09166, please do call me at 09166954418 or email me at irish.arivaacademy@gmail.com. And that's it. Hope you learned a lot from Atty. Oliver Yuan. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Again, this is Irish Malonda Samson. This has been another e-learning session brought to you by Ariva Academy. In Ariva, it's all about being better. Please stay safe and have a great day. Thank you.